and welcome back. In today's video, we'll discuss what is believed to be the most difficult question on IELTS reading: true, false, not given. We'll begin the video with a brief overview for true, false, not given question type, followed by a simple two-step strategy to find the answers. While I do that, I'll also discuss some important tips to keep in mind to find the correct answers to this question type. Towards the end of the video, we'll also do some practice questions. Now for this question type, we'll be given a reading passage and we'll be given some statements. Now we have to write a true, false, or a not given for each of the given statements. Now the instructions say, write true if the statement agrees with the information. That means if the given statement supports what is given in the text, the reading passage, we'll write true for that statement. And write false if the statement contradicts the information, which means if the information, the text, proves any part of the statement wrong, we'll write a false for the statement. Now, the instructions also say, write not given if there is no information on this. This may not always be true. You'll find that even for the statement that has not given as the correct answer will consist of a lot of information that we will be able to find in the reading passage. It's just that there will be at least one information given in the statement which we will not be able to verify from the reading passage. It is important to note that true, false, and not given question is slightly different from yes, no, not given. Now, true, false, not given questions are more descriptive. That is, we're supposed to match the statement with the facts mentioned in the text, in the passage. However, for yes, no, not given questions, which are more argumentative, we're supposed to see whether the statement agrees with the opinion of the author, in which case we write a yes, or does the statement contradict what the author believes, in which case the answer will be no. And we write a not given if it is impossible to say what the author thinks. So yes, while in true, false, not given questions, our answers will be based on the facts mentioned in the reading passage. For yes, no, not given questions, our answers will depend on the opinion of the author. Now, comprehension passages are not something new. A lot of us have attempted similar questions in the past where we were required to read a passage and then answer the questions that would follow. A lot of these passages would have only true or false type of question. There never really was a not given. This is one reason why a lot of students find not given type of question especially confusing, especially when it comes to that distinction between not given and false. Whenever you find this statement to be almost true or almost false, it is a not given, because if the answer is true, you will find the exact information in the text. And if the answer is false, you will find that the text clearly proves the statement wrong. Although a lot of students find true, false, not given questions very challenging, the strategy to find the answers is rather a simple one. We'll follow two simple steps to find the answers. Step 1 is finding the location of the answer, and step 2 is finding the exact answer. So this is the approach we'll follow for step 1. We'll begin by reading the questions. But before we do that, let us also very quickly read the heading of the passage. This way we at least have a vague idea what the text is about. Is it about a person? Is it about some place? Is it about some scientific discovery? Having read the title of the passage, we'll move on to the questions. Please do not start reading the passage. I see a lot of students waste a lot of their time trying to read and understand everything that's given in the passage. My question to them is, once they've read the entire passage and now when they reach the questions, are they able to write the answers directly to all of those questions? Most likely, no. In any case, they are having to go back to the reading passage for every question, which means all of the time they spend reading the passage is actually time wasted. So never read unless you do not know what you're reading for. It's very similar to IELTS listening, where we're always given time to go through the questions first before the audio plays. Because now that we've read the questions, we know which information we have to grasp from the audio. Likewise, for reading, unless you do not know what is the information you're searching in the text, do not start reading the text. So we'll first read the heading of the reading passage and move directly on to the questions. Very quickly read all of the questions. But while you do that, just give a quick read. Don't try to understand and remember everything that is mentioned in the questions. Reading all of the questions help us in two ways. A, these also give us some insight into the reading passage. We now kind of know what the passage is about. B, it also tells us the sequence in which the answers will appear in the text. Remember that answers are most likely in the same order as the questions. That is, you will find answer number 2 after answer 1 and before answer 3, and so on. So once you've given a quick read to the question, one by one, we'll start finding the answers to each of the questions. We'll first underline some important words in our statement, which we'll call keywords, and now we'll quickly scan the text for those words. Now we're scanning instead of reading because let's say I start reading my passage right from the first sentence and I actually find the location of this answer in paragraph number 3, which means I wasted all of that time reading 3 passages before I actually found where the answer was. It is, however, important to remember that you may not find the exact same keywords in the text. The text will mostly contain synonyms of these words or a paraphrasing of the question statement. One useful tip for step 1 is that names and numbers make very good keywords. This is because these are not likely to have synonyms. For example, if a question contains name of a scientist, you will find the same name in the text as well. Same goes for numbers. Numbers like a century or year or address or date or time. Secondly, these are also very easy to spot because names will always start with a capital letter and numbers simply stand out from the text. Here we'll find what the exact answer is. So we use the scanning technique to locate the answer in our text and we used keywords to help us do that. Now in step 2, we will read the question and that part of the text to understand their meanings and find the exact answer. First, we're supposed to see how many informations there are in the question statement, and we'll read the text to verify each one of those informations. You will find a lot of keywords from a question in the text, but it is very important to not just match the words. We're supposed to match the informations. Now, when we find similar keywords, these are actually distractors. These are to trick us into believing that the answer is there in the text, when really it is just the matching words that we have found. The information may not even match. This will become more clear in the next part of the video where we practice some questions. Now, when you're finding the answers in the text, do not just read that single sentence where you found the keywords. Start reading from one statement, one sentence above where you found the keywords, and continue reading till one sentence below the sentence where you found the keywords. This is because sometimes our answers could be influenced by the information given right before or right after that specific sentence. Another important tip is that for true, false, not given question, we're not supposed to assume or use any prior knowledge. Our answers should strictly be based on the information given in the text. Remember, just knowing a strategy is not going to help you. It is also important to apply this strategy, and that is what we're going to learn in this next part of the video. We'll now attempt 7 true, false, not given questions following the strategy we just discussed. So remember, we'll follow 2-step technique to find the answers. We'll first find the location to each of the questions. Once we've found the location, we'll read that part of the text carefully to find the exact answer. Let's start with step 1, that is finding the location. For this, I'll quickly read the heading of my reading passage. That will tell me what the passage is about. Now this one here says, William Henry Perkin, the man who invented synthetic dyes. All right, so I know the text is about some person. And I do not start reading the passage now. I'll quickly go and read the 7 questions first. Take about 30 seconds to very quickly go over these questions. All right, now let us find the answers one by one. Let's start with question 1. Now, my keywords here are Michael Faraday, first person, recognize, Perkins' ability, student, chemistry. Now, I'll quickly scan my text to find these keywords. Remember, I may not even find these exact words because the text may contain synonyms or the text may actually have paraphrased the statement. And also, hoping to find all of these keywords is not a very realistic expectation. So let's quickly scan the text to find words that are even somewhat similar to these. Now, the first paragraph doesn't really talk about any of these. As I read second paragraph, I have found words that are similar to some of my keywords. I've found student, I've found chemistry, and talent, although the question doesn't say talent, but it does say ability, and these are similar. So my step number 1 is done. I've found the location. Now, using step 2, we'll find the exact answer. Here, I will read the question very carefully and see what the question says, and then I'll read that part of the text. So the question says that Michael Faraday was the first person to recognize Perkins' ability as a student of chemistry. Remember, I won't just read the sentence that says talent. I'll start reading from the sentence before. As a student at the City of London School, Perkin became immersed in the study of chemistry. His talent and devotion to the subject, that is, to chemistry, were perceived by his teacher, Thomas Hall, who encouraged him to attend a series of lectures given by the eminent scientist Michael Faraday at the Royal Institution. So this sentence clearly tells us that Michael Faraday was not the one who recognized Perkins' ability. It was his teacher, Thomas Hall, who first recognized that ability in Perkin. So the answer is false. So although we found a lot of similar information, one part of the statement was proved wrong by the passage, hence our answer is false. Let's move on to question 2. Now my keywords here are Michael Faraday, suggested, Perkin, enroll, college or Royal College of Chemistry. Again, Royal College is a name, should be easy to spot. And I also know that the answer is likely after where I found answer number 1. So we continue scanning further. Yep, I found Michael Faraday. I've also found Royal Institution, Royal College of Chemistry. I found the location, that is step 1 is done. Now step 2, that is read the question and the text carefully to find our answer. Now the question says, Michael Faraday suggested that Perkin enrolls for Royal College of Chemistry. Perkin was inspired by Michael Faraday's speeches, but there is no mention of whether or not he met him in person, whether or not Michael Faraday was the one to suggest him to attend the college. So my answer is clearly not in this paragraph. So I'm going to keep scanning further because I may not be looking at the answer in the right paragraph. However, as I keep scanning further, I come across words like Hoffman, and I'm pretty sure I read this name somewhere. When I first read all of the questions, I go back and see where, yep, that was question number 3. This paragraph here, this sentence is talking about answer 3. This further confirms that I have not missed answer number 2 anywhere. It's actually not given. I'd also like to point out one common mistake that students do here. The moment they find that the answer is not true, they write a false by default. Remember, if the answer is not true, now you have to ask yourself 2 important questions. It is not true because it has been proved wrong by the text, or it's not true because you're not able to verify it from the text. If the text has proved it wrong, then the answer is false. If you're not able to verify it from the text, then the answer is not given. Let's now move on to question number 3. Now for answer number 3, well, our step number 1 is already done. While we were finding answer to question 2, we did find the location for answer 3, where we found keywords like August Wilhelm Hoffman and assistant. So the question says, Perkin employed August Wilhelm Hoffman as his assistant. And the text says, Perkin's scientific gifts soon caught Hoffman's attention, and within 2 years, he became Hoffman's youngest assistant. But who's an assistant to whom? The question says Hoffman is an assistant to Perkin, but the text shows that he, as in Perkin, became Hoffman's youngest assistant. Text clearly proves that Hoffman was never an assistant to Perkin. It was, in fact, the other way around. So since the text proves the statement wrong, our answer is false. Let's now move on to question 4. So here our keywords are Perkin, young, made discovery, made him rich, famous, and I will continue to scan the text after where I found answer number 3. Youngest assistant, scientific breakthrough, bring him fame and fortune. Now you see how the text mostly has synonyms for our keywords. The question says Perkin was still young. The text says he became Hoffman's youngest assistant and not long after. That is, they're talking about the time while he was still young. Then they talk about how he made a discovery, and the text talks about how he made the scientific breakthrough, and a scientific breakthrough means a major discovery. Rich and famous, we have synonyms for both the words. Fortune for rich and fame for famous. So yes, step 1, we have found the location, and step 2, we have been able to verify the information by reading both the question and the text. So the text proves that Perkin was still young when he made the discovery that made him rich and famous. Hence, our answer is true. So these are the answers for questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. I would like for you to now use the strategy that we just discussed to find the answers for questions 5, 6, and 7. Now pause the video for about 5 minutes, and after you've found the answers, continue watching for correct answers.